Hey, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Jason here. In today's video, I'm going to tell you how a buyer scammed me out of $7,200 in items. I'm also going to tell you what I did to try to help prevent it from happening. And if you hang on to the end of the video, I'll tell you if eBay ended up siding with me or if I lost $7,200. So to kind of start off, this is what I was selling. I actually bought a case of 2021 Obsidian Panini football back about 6 months ago. I got them for $450 a box. So the whole case cost me $5,400 and there was no tax. I was planning on keeping it for about 2 years and then reselling it, because a lot of times, if you know anything about sports cards, you can buy these, hang on to them, sell them for a couple years down the road, and if it ended up being a really good rookie class, then you can get double, triple your money from what you originally paid for them. Well, these things started going up right after I bought them. I kept up with them online. Football season wasn't here yet, and they were already up to $600 a box. And then right before football season, $700 a box. And then when football season kicked off, some people were selling for $800 a box. I'm like, okay, it's time to crack open my case and sell these. But I was nervous because this is $800 a box, and I'm in them for $5,400. So what I did is I made one listing with a quantity of 12, and there's still 3 up there. That's when I still have a box left. And so a few nights later, my phone does a cha-ching and one of them sells. I'll put a screenshot of one of the sales in the corner. What happened was, so it goes cha-ching, one sold, and the person had no feedback. I'm like, ooh, that's a little sketchy. But I was watching TV, so I'm like, okay, well, I can pack it up later, no big deal. 15 minutes, my phone cha-chings again. Another one sold for $800, my full asking price. I'm like, hey, another 0 feedback, but it wasn't the same username, but I looked at them and they were the same mailing address. Anyway, in 15-minute intervals, they ended up buying 9 boxes for $7,200. That immediately threw up a red flag. All 9 were going to the same address. I did Google the address. It was a house, so that made me feel a little bit better, but I just felt like it was a scam. Why did they buy 9 boxes on 9 different orders under 9 different usernames? So I immediately called eBay and told them that I did not want to send these off to the buyer. I said I felt like it was a scam, and I said I want my account noted. And the guy from eBay said it's not a scam. They just checked out as guests. I said, then why didn't they buy all 9 boxes up front? Why did they buy them one at a time? And I guess when they check out as a guest, it gives you some made-up username, because they really were made-up usernames. I'm not going to share them. It's not that big of a deal as far as their usernames go, because if it was a guest, they don't even know what their username is, from my understanding. So he's like, no, this is good. Their credit card went through. And I'm like, well, what if it's a stolen credit card? He goes, well, if it's a stolen credit card, you're protected by buyer protection program. So I had him note the account. We hung up the phone. I called back in to speak to another rep just to make sure I had 2 people, because I didn't know if he was really going to note the account or not. But by calling in again, I ended up having 2 people note my account for my concern that I believed this was a scam. So he said it wasn't, and so what I did is I went ahead and he said, do not send them all in one shipment. They did 9 different transactions. You send them in 9 different boxes and get insurance on them. And I'm like, okay, because if you're familiar with eBay has a section where you can select to get insurance. I think it's through a third-party company. So I did it. So it was like $20 to ship each one individually. So I'm getting in deep here. What's that? $280 in shipping alone. So I shipped them off, and I shipped them in a 7x. I actually have one here, a box for an example. I shipped them in one of these 7x6 boxes that you get from USPS, and I shipped all 9 of them individually in one of those. Well, soon as the tracking started tracking, like the next day after it was scanned in from the post office, I immediately got 9 returns requests. They haven't even received the item yet. So I pick up the phone, I call eBay, and I said, hey, just like I told you, I'm 99% sure this is a scam. They just opened up a return on all 9 items, and they opened it up as I did not send the right product. And I said, they haven't even received it yet. And the person on the phone was like, oh, wow, yeah, this is definitely throwing up some red flags here. I said, note my account. And they're like, it's done. Like, I understand this is a lot of money. So they noted my account, and at this point in time, I didn't know what was going to happen, because what their note said is that they didn't want individual boxes. They wanted the whole case. Well, if you wanted the entire case, you need to buy 12, not 9. I don't know where they went to school at, but 9 is not a case. 12 is a case. So anyway, they started the return, and as soon as the package arrived, I mean, the very next day, my phone kept going off that they were sending back the boxes. So they did send back 9 packages, and I did record my mail lady, but I might post a little screenshot of what they sent back. You see what I sent them in. I sent all of them in the 7x7x6 box, 9 of them. Let me show you what they sent it back to me in. This. And inside this was this black box filled with paper. I think the reason they did that was so there would be a little bit of weight, and if they tried to argue it to win the case, there would be some weight shown that they didn't just ship something back. Here's what they sent me back. A complete empty box, nothing inside. So when I got the box and there's nothing inside, I got a little nervous, because you know, that's $7,200 of sales that I might be out. So I immediately picked up the phone, called eBay. They transferred me over to, well, he called the fraud department, I guess it was, and then he transferred me over to them. And the person on the phone was super nice. They're like, you know, I am so sorry this happened to you. They sent it back on a Saturday. So the way it works with eBay is when you're disputing a return, because it's called return, they returned the wrong item, even though they returned virtually nothing, just an empty box, which this has nothing to do with this. But since they returned an empty box, basically they did not return the right item, is what it goes down for eBay. And since it was a Saturday, there was nobody there from the office that makes a decision on cases like this. And he said, well, I will tell you one thing. He goes, the fact that you called in twice before you even shipped them, and I said, it's very clear here in the notes that you stated you were scared that this was a scam. He goes, that weighs heavily in your favor. And he goes, also the fact that they returned them, they started a return before they even received the item. He said, that definitely looks good for you too. He said, in my opinion, it's going to be ruled in your favor. You get to keep all the money, and we will ban those buyers. So I had to wait. Well, he said 2 days. They would get back in touch with Tuesday. Well, Monday afternoon, he sent me an email. His name was Eric. And he sent me an email and said, hey, just want to let you know that we're sorry this happened to you. We hope that you have not lost your faith in eBay. And we have decided to side with you, and you get to keep all the money. And that's it. That's basically what the email said. So I was ecstatic. But I'm like, wait a minute, is there something, can they dispute it with their credit card? What else can be done? So I called back in and talked to an agent. She said, no, pretty much you're 99.9% in the clear. There's nothing that can come back. It was sided with you. This is obvious fraud. And I was like, well, are y'all going to go after them? Because this is, you know, a large transaction. Isn't this like, you know, some sort of crime that, because she said we've already got their money. And she goes, we're not going to give it back. And I'm like, oh, okay, so the credit card they paid with is not fraudulent? She said, no, there's nothing has come back as fraud on the credit card. So we're siding with you, refusing to return their funds, and we're blocking them. And she was like, do you want me to block these buyers for you? And I was like, well, you can, but they're all different names. They checked out as guests, so I don't think it's going to do any good. But don't worry, I have their address written down, and I will not sell them anything if I see that address pop up, you know, on one of my orders. So I guess the moral of this story is, if you think something's fraud and it's a fairly high-end item and you don't want to lose money on it, start making phone calls to eBay multiple times. And if you do the right thing, it will work out. Now, the cool thing with these is these are no longer selling for $800. A couple of the good rookies in here got hurt early on this year, even though it's still a stacked rookie class. They're down to selling for $600 a box now. I got 800 for mine. So, and I get to keep all, you know, 9 of those sales. So yeah, eBay sided with me for once. I'm extremely happy. I wanted to put this out there in case you ran into anything, because I know for me it was a very scary situation, potentially losing my $5,400 investment, over $200 in shipping charges. I was extremely nervous, and I've heard the horror stories on eBay. I've been through them on eBay where you fight tooth and nail and they never side with you. They always side with the buyer. But this time, as a seller, I made sure to leave my footprint behind, that way that they could follow it and see that I was nervous from the beginning. I did record the whole, when the mail lady showed up. I also recorded me opening each box, and I asked the person, hey, can I send you these videos? He said, honestly, we don't want the videos. I've never seen a case where they've actually asked for a video. I said, so that pretty much wastes my time, videoing myself opening the boxes. And he was like, not really. He said, at least you got something on video in case you do need it. He goes, but again, I've never ever seen one request a video. They're just going to make the decisions. And he said, it's probably because videos can be manipulated, and it's just, we have to make a decision one way or the other. So, all right, I don't want to make this too long, but I wanted to give you all a heads up on this. I'm definitely relieved and happy that eBay sided with me. So, hopefully if anything like this happens to you, you'll know what to do. All right, appreciate y'all watching. Have a great day. Smash that like button for me and subscribe if you hadn't already. I'll see you on the next video.